So the first sample problem that we will be discussing about would be yung question 2 of the problem solving section of our LQ1 reviewer from Syntax for CALENG3. So the question is asking that we should solve sine y multiplied to x squared plus sine squared y dx minus 2x squared cos y multiplied to square root of y 1 minus cos squared y dy equals 0. So yung parang logic ko always is to follow these 5 steps. First, is it variable separable? So let's see, is it variable separable? And we see that it is not. Kasi meron na tayong addition here and even subtraction here. So, not good. So, not VS. Correct. Ayun. Is it exact? So, mental differentiation natin. It will not. I think it's very obvious it will not kasi meron ng actually a square root here, and then there is this x plus sine squared y, and there's also a 2x squared here. So basically, it will not. So even if I said na parang you need yung particular function ng exact, which is yung partial derivative of m in terms of x, in terms of y is equals to partial derivative of n in terms of x. You have to solve for that. Once you've practiced enough, you can mentally differentiate enough para, oh, it will not work. So you don't have to waste too much time since time is precious during long quizzes. So our next classification is linear. So for linear, we can see it is not linear because we have our trigonometric function, which is not allowed for linear. So let's see if it's homogeneous. For homogeneous, all of the terms have to be the same degree. And we can see it is not of the same degree. Because again, we have yung square root, tapos may pa tayong trigonometric functions. So, di na rin. So, all else has failed. So, what do? We do substitution. And in our case, it is substitution, put that in red, suggested by the equation. Since we don't have yung reduction to separation of variables, and we can see that there is no underlying function that we can see in terms of yung parang ax plus by plus c. So, suggested by equation. So, we can choose any of the complex functions that we have, which is the trigonometric function. So either cos y, any of these trigonometric functions. So in our case, let's choose sine y since it is not under the square root. So it will be very tricky kung meron pang square root. So we do substitution. So b is equals to sine y. And then we differentiate it. So always remember, whenever you're substituting, you also have to implicitly differentiate it as well. So dv equals to cos y dy. And then we substitute everything. Sine y equals to v, then square plus v square, and then 2vx squared dv. Also, remember, I forgot to mention pala, yung pag-simplify natin ng whole equation. So yung 1 minus cos squared y, we simplified it into sine squared y using the trigonometric identity natin. So sine squared y plus cos squared y equals to 1. So sine squared y. Yes. Okay. So now that we have substituted that accordingly, we can see that it is now a homogeneous equation. So yun. So always remember, substitution is just a step into one of these 4. Yung VS, exact, linear, or homogeneous. Para madali na rin yung pag-solve natin. So we can see it is homogeneous. So this is 1 exponent, 2 exponents. So it's 3, and then this is 3 exponents. So B 1 plus 2. Yun. So homogeneous. Very, very nice. So for homogeneous ulit, we can see that we have to substitute again since homogeneous is part under ng classification of substitution. So in this case, the reviewer, they basically just substituted yung B itself. Instead of doing yung what if you establish mdx plus mdy equals 0. So if m is simpler, diba? We do x equals ub. Parang, ay, by pala. By. Pero in our case, what they did, I mean, it is the same actually. In the fact that yung function that is next to our variable dv is simpler than our function over here. Okay. So what they did was basically b yung substitution nila, since that is the variable with the simpler function, and into ax. So a is just basically it's a letter. You can choose any letter, just as we can choose yung b or y. Parang ganun lang. And then we do differentiation into that. So this is dv equals to a dx plus dA. And then we substitute it accordingly. Oops. Yan. Substitute ax and then x squared, then 2ax, blah, blah, blah. We multiply all of it together, and then we put all of the like terms. So the ones that are with the same dependent variable derivative, so dx, they will all be the same. And then you dA natin, it's right here. Yeah. So from there, we can then see that it is a variable separable equation. Ayun. So as always, as I've said, homogeneous will always result in a variable separable. Dapat BS na lang pala. Apologize. BS. Yeah. Yeah, BS. And from there, we can simplify it na to our VS process. So you can see that in the reviewer, it's simplified further yung a squared minus 2a plus 1. So a minus 1 squared. So always try your best to use algebra, trigonometric, or rules of exponents in order to simplify the equation that is given to you. So yeah, so we divide the whole equation by the variables that are not consistent with their independent dependent variable that they're next to. So you okay. So you x to the power of 4, it shouldn't be next to dA. And then we have you a here, tapos yung a minus 1 squared, which is 1 plus a squared plus 2a. Ayun, so we divide it accordingly, and then we can see na mawawala yung x to the power of 3 here. So this becomes 1, basically. Mawawala yung a dito, mawawala yung a dito. And then, that's it. So we then get our separable integration. So 1 over x dx, which is basically ln x. And then 2 over a minus 1 squared dA. dA pala. So, yeah. And in this case, yun, integration rules or integration strategies. So we just basically substitute yung a minus 1 into u para easier yung integration natin. And it becomes ln x equals to minus 2 over u plus ln(c). So always remember yung constant natin. Constant of integration will become ln if our integration becomes natural logarithm, right? So always remember that. And then we substitute it back and we substitute yung a natin. So yung v equals to ax, avx. And then we substitute yung v natin ulit into sine y. So always remember to substitute it back to the original terms that we've had in the equation. So our final answer is ln x equals to negative 2x over sine y minus x plus ln c. And usually sa quiz 1 natin, we don't have to simplify it further. So very good. So let's go to our final sample problem. Dalawa lang naman that we will discuss. So for our final problem that we will discuss, it will be the third question from our reviewer from syntax. So let's go through our usual strategy. So VS, is it VS? We can see that it is not kasi addition, subtraction, tapos it is in two variables natin. It is multiplied to each other, right? So very hard to separate them accordingly. So not VS. Is it exact? So we can check and mentally differentiate. So let's put the VA over here. Tapos let's go with 9B over here. So even if we differentiate it, the 3 over 9B or 1 over 3B would be differentiated in terms of A, diba? And that will be equals to 0. And we can see that if you differentiate this, it will not be equals to 0. So it is not exact. Yeah. Okay. So next, is it linear? And we can immediately see that it is not linear actually. Kasi yung B natin, it's multiplied to B here. And yung dv natin, yung dependent variable natin that we have to emphasize for linearity, it will not be possible. So it is not linear. Is it homogeneous? It is not homogeneous. So 1 over A. Ayun. So substitution. So let's check if it is Bernoulli's. So Bernoulli's. Actually, nakikita nandito. Kasi nilagay ko na yung I mean, it's from the reviewer naman. So let's check. So dB, dA. So I moved yung 3 to the other side. Maybe 3B, then 1 over A plus 4AB for B plus 12AB. Ayan. So this becomes basically dB over dA equals to 3 over AB plus 12 A squared B squared minus 12 B squared. Ayan. So, wait, this is 36. Apology. So, we can see na, actually, we can see that it is looking into an actual Bernoulli, diba? So, let's take this out. Tapos ito, maging 12B squared. So, we will be taking the actual common terms from this equation. So 12, that's yung 12 from 36 and base squared. So this is A, we will also take A, yung A natin from here. Pero isang A lang. Yeah. A tapos minus 3. Ayun. And that's what we got here. And we can see that it is Bernoulli's because we have yung derivative of our dv with our function and then our dv here, and we have our function of a plus yung actual dv variable to the power of n, which is 2. Ayun. So parang visualize natin, let's say b prime plus b to the power of, in this case it is a. Ayun. Actually, nalagay na dito. Apologies. Ayun. dB minus f to the power of a. So 3 over a. B tapos ga, which is yung a natin dito is a minus 3. And then bn, which is b squared. Ayun. So, what the reviewer then shows is yung pag-divide ng b squared to the whole equation. So, b minus 2, and then 3a, 3 over a. Apologies. Yan. 3 over a. Yan. B to the power of minus 1, and then 12a, a minus 3. And then we do substitution since it is Bernoulli. So, in this case, instead of z, they just use yung letter u. So, you can use whichever letter you want as long as it's easier for you. Yeah, so u, tapos, and then we actually do differentiation. So, du, tapos implicit differentiation ng b, so b minus 2. And we move na lang yung minus 1 na pang differentiation dito. So then this becomes you substitute, so this one yung b to the power of minus 2, and then yung derivative of db will be equals to negative du dA. Ayan. And then our 3 over a, this is equals to u, and then we can finally do yung integrating factor natin. So yung factor natin is basically 3 over a. Yeah, since that is our IV, independent variable. So we do that, we do integration within the exponent of e, and then becomes e3 ln a. Tapos this is rules of logarithm. So yung 3 punta dito, and since it's a coefficient of a logarithm, it becomes an exponent of the function within the logarithm. So it becomes parang dito 3 ln a cubed, and e and ln are inverse functions of each other, so they will cancel out into 1. So this becomes a to the power of 3, and then we multiply both sides by a to the power of 3, multiply both sides by our integrating factor. Okay, so multiply, so a cubed, and then this is basically a derivative of our integrating factor with our dv. Ayun. So then let's do this, and then we integrate. Ayun. Oh, very, very nice. I forgot to yeah. So we're integrating. So a to the power of 5 becomes a to the power of 6, then 36 to the power of over 5 plus c, of course, since it's indefinite integration. And then we substitute it back ulit from to our original equation, to our original term, so yung b. And then we see from the problem before that they have given us values that we can use to solve for constant of integration. So always remember, if they give you values just like this, or yung IVP, parang ganito, let's say b bracket 0 equals to 1. So this just basically means that when a is equals to 0, b is equals to 1. So you just have to input that into your equation that you have solved through the integration. So through that, we can solve for c. So c, we substitute yung minus 1 into a, and then b is equals to 2. And then we find that c is equals to 47 over 10. And then we substitute that into our equation over here. Yeah. And then we get our final equation, which is a to the power of 3, b to the power of negative 1 is equals to negative 2, a to the power of 6 plus 36 over 5, a to the power of 5 plus 47 plus 10. And you don't have to simplify it further, especially for long quiz number 1. So, and that is all of our sample problems. So thank you so much for watching. You may also avail syntax tutorials by scanning the QR code that will be flashed on your screen later. So once again, this is Elijah Go from Syntax, paving your way to excellence.